This is The Pulse. Welcome back. So whilst you wine and dine away the festive season at home, there are some individuals who are not doing same. They've in fact gone to the Supreme Court trying to get the government to send more money to the district assembly near you so they can speed up development in your community. Honorable MPs Benjamin Kpodo of the Whole Central and Richard Kwashiga of Keta suspects Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is manipulating funds set aside for district assemblies and allocating less than they really deserve. We can hear those allegations from the horse's own mouth, and I'm privileged to join in the studio by Honorable Benjamin Kpodo. He's right here with us. Welcome, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
How has your festive season been?
Well, we've been very busy in Ho. For instance, we had to visit the hospitals, the two hospitals, to make donations
Trafalgar.
to those, Trafalgar, you know it, as the regional hospital, and the municipal hospital, to make donations to those who are still in hospital on admission whilst others are enjoying outside. Similarly, we went to the prisons as well, to the Proscerium in Ho, if you know the place,
yes.
And then also the rehabilitation center that was set up by the EP Church in Deme. So that's what you've been doing, going around to visit.
And you still found time to head to the Supreme Court?
Yes. You know, it's not a one-day issue. The case started pretty long ago, during last year's budget, 2017 budget, which was presented in March. And that was the time the new government decided that it was no longer going to apply 7.5% of revenues to be allocated to the District Assembly's Common Fund.
Okay.
They're capping all the earmarked funds, but constitutionally they can't go below 5% in the matter of District Assembly's Common Fund. Okay. So they brought it down. So we realized that we needed to see what we could do to really look at what exactly the Constitution says should be done as far as this Assembly's Common Fund is concerned. So we looked into the Constitution and found out that Article 252, Clause 2, is where the amount that should go to this Assembly is defined as not less than 5% of the total revenue of the country should be allocated to that fund for development in the district assemblies areas. That is it. Okay. Now, when the District Assembly's Common Fund was established earlier, when the Constitution was implemented, was promulgated, the former NDC government under President Jerry Rawlings passed the act that established the District Assembly's Common Fund. Now, in that act, a definition was given to total revenue, and it was like revenue, total revenue less non-tax revenue, less grants, less foreign loans, and less any amount that the assemblies themselves may have collected. Then in 2011, when the Petroleum Revenue Management Act was passed, and they were distributing the revenues, that this will go to Heritage Fund, this will go to National Stabilization Fund, this will be ABFA. The District Assembly Common Fund was not given any. So that act also excludes the District Assembly's Common Fund from getting money from the oil revenue that the country...
But that's not against the law, is it? But that's not against, that
is what we are contending.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying that this Assembly Common Fund should also be part of that revenue.
Okay.
Yes, because the Constitution says total revenue. So why do we set aside some revenues? And the definitions all along the line also say that non-tax revenue should not be considered when the 5% is being computed for the district assemblies common fund. So I feel that the pot has been cut off,
okay,
leaving only a part of it. And if you have, if you look at our budget, you will see at the head, the revenue side, the structure of the budget is total revenue and grants.
okay.
Then they start tax revenue, that's on incomes and property. Then the next social contributions, then the next non-tax revenue, then the next other revenue.
Okay.
So the budget structure captures the fact that we have total revenue, which includes
The oil
tax revenue, non-tax revenue, social contributions, and grants are separate. Grants are those monies we receive from. So what I'm saying is that in computing what is due to the disassembly's common fund, all the total revenue should form the base. That is addition, a summation of all these revenues.
Okay.
Yes.
But it looks like as it stands now, that's not the case.
That's not the case
Okay.
before you compute the 5%. So if we say that our total revenue, tax, non-tax, other income adds up to 30 billion, then in determining the 5% that will go to the disassembly's common fund, we remove about 10 billion by these definitions.
But Mr. Kodo, some have argued that what is due the district assembly's common fund, that is what you are giving. Isn't that the case?
What I'm saying is that I do not think the Constitution says that
should we be giving you more when you don't deserve it? Is that what you're asking for?
Can I explain to you? What I'm saying is that the Constitution does not permit us to take some revenues out before we apply the 5%.
Exactly.
The Constitution is saying 5% of total revenue. So if we can build up all our revenues, then that is where we should slap the 5% on. Not that we deduct some. You see, the danger
so you
is
think there's an under-declaring of the total revenue before your 5% is given you?
It is not under-declaration. It is clear. Everybody knows that these are the revenues. We know the tax revenues. We know the non-tax revenues. We know the other revenues which are stated in the budget. But in computing the 5%, they compute it only on tax revenue.
Okay. So what do you suspect could be the reason why other revenues have been taken out and giving you just 5% of some?
I think that governments want to have a lot of money at the center, which they can control. But in our decentralized system, we want at least 5% of the revenue to go to the districts. And mind you, I'm a member of the local government committee. So I have concern for the assemblies a lot.
Okay.
When you reduce the base on which you apply the 5%, it means less money is going to the assemblies for decentralized development work. That is why I am in court. I've raised this at a number of fora. We were discussing the management of the oil revenue for the nation. I raised it. We were discussing the formula for allocating this assembly's common fund. I raised it.
Okay.
But it's like quite a number of our colleagues do not appreciate my point. And I'm also of the view that the best place that we can resolve this matter, in fact, it is to help all of us.
But you are a parliamentarian. You've also said you are a member of the local government committee. Yes. Have you exhausted all avenues in addressing this issue rather than going to the Supreme Court for interpretation? Yes,
I have. Because from year to year, we consider the annual budget, we consider the allocations made to this Assembly's Common Fund. And at each time, I have raised the issue. So it is to help us. It's not against any particular government. So your prelude that I suspect the Minister of Finance is doing something with the money is incorrect. This thing has been there since this constitution started. So I'm just seeking to assist all of us to understand what the drafters of the constitution meant by total revenue. If we resolve that, then we know where to slap the 5%, whether it is over all the revenues or just some of the revenue. Yes, that is why I am in court. It's to help all of us.
So what are the basic reliefs that you're seeking whilst going?
The reliefs I'm seeking are that, one, following the true and proper interpretation of the Constitution, that is in Article 252, Clause 2, Parliament, or for that matter, any Minister of Finance cannot allocate less than 5% of total revenues to the District Assembly's Common Fund.
Okay.
So when we define total revenues correctly, then I am saying that what they have been releasing to the District Assembly's Common Fund now is less than 5% because they have excluded some income. Now, certain laws gave effect to what we are currently doing. And these laws are the Earmark Funds Capping and Realignment Act of 2017, the Local Governance Act of 2016, Act, I think it's Act 936 or so. Okay. These acts, as far as those provisions are concerned, are unconstitutional. So the Supreme Court should declare them null and void.
Okay. Oh.
Yes, this is one of the, and that the third claim is that the exclusion of the District Assembly's Common Fund from the distribution of revenues from oil is also unconstitutional because oil revenue is revenue and comes under total revenue. So you cannot say that the District Assembly's Common Fund cannot benefit from it at all.
But I'm tempted to ask, are you now realizing that this is what is been happening?
I have repeatedly told you that.
Because
I've been raising this matter at various
So why didn't you go to court when you were in power? You are now going to court. That's the argument.
No, it doesn't matter when I go to court. I've told you that we've been working on the case for quite some time. You know, you have to go to other jurisdictions, get the interpretations, see how the constitutions are operated before you can make a case. Yes, so it's taking some time, but it is better now than never.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're indeed grateful. We're looking forward to this case, to hear what the Supreme Court's verdict will be on this case. It will be a long haul, though. Honorable Benjamin Kodo, we are indeed grateful for your time. Are you heading back to Ho?
Yes. I intend to go to Ho if I can make it before dusk.
Of course.
Otherwise,
you have good roads now, so I'm sure.
Otherwise, I'll go tomorrow early morning.
Okay. Yes. We wish you all the best. Thank you
so
much for your time. We'll see how that case goes. Pleasure meeting you too. Thank you so much.